Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. You're watching News 2. I'm April Knight. Topping our stories tonight, some restaurants across the territory are reopening after days, sometimes weeks of closure. According to the Department of Health, the closures were voluntary on the part of the restaurants that needed to do some upgrades or compliance-related changes. News 2's James Gardner has more.
There has been speculation about the closures of many prominent establishments throughout the territory, most notably on St. Croix's North Shore. It's now known that these were voluntary closures by the restaurants in order to get into compliance with the Department of Health's regulations. In the past few weeks, D.O.H. officials along with Center for Disease Control representatives went around the territory conducting inspections of food service establishments. These inspections are not only a hands-on inspection of the establishment, but also an opportunity for education.
Inspections, when we go into the establishments, if you have where by code you're required to have a refrigerating unit at 41 degrees, and upon our inspection the unit is reading 70 degrees, that's a concern. If you have a freezer that is required to be 0 degrees or below, and when we get there it's 20 degrees, that's a concern. If you have hot food that should be kept at 135, and when we get there it's 90 degrees, that's a concern. All the above mentioned promotes or will allow for bacteria to grow and multiply, resulting in the food being compromised, and if consumed, individuals being getting sick. So the department is not in the business of closing businesses, but you have businesses who may have severe infractions, and when observed or noted during the inspections, a recommendation is made in terms of persons need to come into compliance immediately, and those foods subjected to adverse temperature must be disposed of immediately.
After the issues are fixed, D.O.H. will return to inspect the establishment again.
If we go back and do a re-inspection and they hadn't complied with the recommended corrective measures, then we would tell them that we would be back once that is done. But what the department, the division has been doing is, if I go out to an establishment and that establishment is in violation with law, or violation of law is found, then they are given an opportunity to make the corrective measures. So rather than citing them for the infractions, we are allowing them to take that money and to invest in the establishment, bringing it up to meet the standards.
There are tips to help establishments stay in compliance. For example, first in, first out method, which means the first item bought to be sold should be the first item to go. This is important for storing food to prevent foodborne illnesses and control commercial kitchen costs. For a checklist, you can go to doh.vi.gov, highlight programs, and select environmental health. Then under resources, select food service self-inspection checklist. Now reopen and under compliance, business owners are happy to get back to work.
We are talking about the North Shore having the restaurants and bars open and welcoming to visitors and locals alike. We've made all of our necessary corrections as well as improvements, and my staff and I are refreshed and ready to welcome everyone back and have a good time once again on the North Shore like we're used to.
For News 2, this is James Gardner.
And again, that website is www.doh.vi.gov. Well, here's our latest on that water outage that affected half of St. Croix from Mid-Island to the West End. It's been about 10 days since the problem began, and it seems WAPA did not quite get water services back to normal like they thought they would. On Friday, WAPA spokesperson Jean Grieux said it could take about 24 to 48 hours. Over the weekend, residents were still reporting water issues in their homes and businesses, including muddy water, low pressure, or complete outage. Today, Wednesday, Tuesday, WAPA CEO Lawrence Kupfer said in a statement that they're confident that services will be normalized within another 24 to 48 hours. He said in the meantime, more and more customers are getting their services back. The water outage occurred when the Kingsville tank lost capacity and dipped below the 6 to 7 feet needed to keep up with demand. So another 24 and 48 hours, and then we'll see. We'll keep you updated. On Tuesday at the Senate, the Finance Committee voted to unanimously subpoena AECOM representatives to appear before the committee on April 2nd or at another time the committee sets. Finance Committee Chair Senator Donna Fred Gregory of St. Thomas was not happy when AECOM, one of the territory's largest contractors, failed to show up at a hearing that was supposed to shed light on the delayed payments to subcontractors and roof workers. Everyone was there: Housing and Finance Authority, which administers the STEP program, locally known as Emergency Home Repairs VI. Vitimo was there, with O'Brien's and Aptim representatives were also present at the hearing, as well as the Office of Disaster Recovery, but AECOM was conspicuously absent. Randall Taylor of AECOM Caribe sent a letter saying they did not get enough notice prior to the hearing, but Senator Fred Gregory was not having it. Here's more.
We invited AECOM to this meeting today because they play a major role in the recovery work that we have going on with this roofing program, if you will, STEP. And we've reached out to them on 2 occasions. We've also asked for them to meet us at a conference call, and they also made themselves unavailable. The people of the Virgin Islands are in fact suffering, and if we have a contractor who has received a contract for $150 million, I believe it is important for them to be here.
The contract is actually $350 million. Now, the issue at hand at that Senate hearing was the delayed payments to contractors. Adrian Williams-Octolin of the Office of Disaster Recovery told lawmakers on Tuesday that one of the contributing factors was the many layers of contractors working on the recovery project. For example, VI Housing Finance Authority entered into a contract with AECOM and then later Aptim, but under AECOM alone, VIHFA Executive Director Daryl Griffith said that 89 subcontractors are working under that prime contractor, and about 6 of those subcontractors are the main subcontractors. The rest are scattered below those 6 in various configurations. Now, Octolin said that the Office of Disaster Recovery is looking at making changes to ensure that subcontractors pay their people, including perhaps making it a part of the contracts with the prime contractors. Meanwhile, Aptim representatives said that they themselves also had to front millions of dollars in payments to pay their employees and subcontractors while awaiting payments from the government. Here's more from that hearing.
There are multiple layers of subcontractors, which has led to slow payments. Difficulty in establishing appropriate quality and accountability, resulting in significant schedule of delays. Going forward, ODR will work to ensure proper structuring on subcontracts and require that prime contractors agreement with subcontractors govern their payment arrangement across all disaster funding as appropriate. All subs to the prime contractor should be reported to the applicant agency, and agreement should be provided if required by prime contract. Limitations should be placed and enforced on additional subcontracting below the first level as deemed prudent.
Since program inception, Aptim has been paid only a small fraction of what it has paid out, essentially funding its own work on this program by paying subcontractors, material suppliers, local merchants, and employees in advance of receiving any funds from the client. Indeed, Aptim continues to pay subcontractors as invoices become due. This is not the norm, and it is actually not sustainable. Rather, FEMA STEP is designed to be a reimbursement program where FEMA replaces funds paid by the state or territory for funds paid to contractors in performance of their work. Our willingness to operate in this manner is a reflection of our commitment to the project, to the people of the U.S. Virgin Islands, and to those of you on this committee.
We'll keep you updated. Turning our attention to crime, a man who went to the hospital for a stab wound ended up getting arrested on something else entirely. On Saturday, March 16th, around 8 in the evening, police on St. Croix got a call about a stabbing victim at the Juan Louis Hospital's emergency room. The victim was 24-year-old Malachi Benjamin. Detectives got to the hospital and made contact with Benjamin, who was being treated for non-life-threatening injuries to the face. But when Benjamin was discharged, he was placed under arrest, and according to police, it's based on an arrest warrant on an unrelated matter. Nothing more was said about what the charges were, but no bail was set according to the arrest warrant. Benjamin was then remanded to Golden Grove. Meanwhile, a St. Thomas man was arrested allegedly after threatening another man because he couldn't fix his car fast enough. On Sunday, March 17th, the victim told police that Alan Stevens threatened to kill him because he has not finished fixing Stevens' vehicle. The victim said he was trying to buy coffee from a place called Happy View when he noticed Stevens trailing him, and when he turned around, he saw Stevens with a firearm in his hand. Stevens then told him that he was going to kill him, and this is according to the police report. The victim saw a police car nearby, flagged it down. Stevens walks over to a nearby road where 3 vehicles were parked. The police officers found a firearm underneath one of those vehicles, and the victim told them that was the weapon that Stevens was waving around. On the same day, around 9 a.m., Alan Stevens, 42 years old, was arrested and charged with possession of an unlicensed firearm, possession of unlicensed ammunition, disturbance of the peace, threats, carrying or using a dangerous weapon, and possession of stolen property. Stevens was unable to post the $50,000 bail, so he was remanded to the BOC. Coming up next, some St. Croix students played a big part in the fight against crime. Plus, UVI Charter Day celebrations kicked off on St. Croix when we come back. Welcome back. On St. Croix, Crime Stoppers USVI found partners in crime fighting in the students of Good Hope Country Day School. They all saw the fruition of a project that began a couple of years ago, a street sign initiative that would spread awareness about Crime Stoppers, the anonymous tip hotline. They got the design down, secured funding, and got a green light from the Department of Public Works. And now 235 Crime Stoppers street signs with a hotline number on them are installed all around the Big Island. According to Crime Stoppers, the Good Hope students were instrumental in identifying the locations of each sign, and they used GPS to map their locations for future reference by Public Works. The signs also remind the community that cash rewards are paid for information leading to the arrest of an individual, seizure of drugs or weapons, and recovery of stolen property. Remember, you can call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS and go to www.crimestoppersvi.org. Signs will also be installed on St. Thomas and St. John in the coming weeks. Congratulations. Well, good news at UVI. The University of the Virgin Islands is celebrating its 57th Charter Day. The organization has been in existence since 1962, and it's embarking on new initiatives to bring more academic options to students in the territory. VI Governor Albert Bryan shared his sentiments about his legacy with the university and informed that the Virgin Islands has so many economic possibilities. Stephanie Brown has more.
Man up! Man up! Man up! Man up! Man up!
The student organizations, the Brothers with a Cause, opened the University of the Virgin Islands 57 Charter Day ceremony with a march to empower young men.
We're also celebrating the fact that young men are attending university more and more, since usually females attend college more than males do. And we're just trying to get the young men involved within our community and what the university has to offer so they can stay out of trouble.
The Virgin Islands has become the first territory, along with the University of the Virgin Islands becoming the first historically black college and university to provide comprehensive free tuition to students within a state or jurisdiction. Approximately 1,700 students are expected to qualify to receive the tuition benefits. The university was founded as the College of the Virgin Islands in 1962. In 1966, the Virgin Islands began seeing an influx of workers when Hess Oil Virgin Islands started refinery construction on St. Croix. According to UVI, the institution has continued to follow a pledge for enhancing the social and economic transformation of the U.S. Virgin Islands.
And UVI has been laboring and working and trying to nurture leadership for this territory for 57 years and leadership for the world. But there comes a time when you actually see the fruits of all of that labor. And our keynote speaker is a shining example of what an institution as this university is can produce.
Keynote speaker Governor Albert Bryan is the first governor of the Virgin Islands to be a graduate of UVI. Governor Bryan earned a master's degree in business administration from the university in 2003. Bryan stated that the Virgin Islands is on the brink of tremendous opportunity, and UVI is at the core.
See, UVI gets it. They are developing our Virgin Islands talent in every field of human endeavor. And that's what we have to do, because we have been a talent engine for far too long. Our number one export is not oil, it's not rum, it is talent.
UVI is embarking on a new venture. Since 2016, the university has raised $3 million in gifts and pledges to open its School of Medicine that already has a $30 million supplemental commitment by Dr. Shinarif Jeev Katuria.
But we have the opportunity now to create a medical school. Bold, isn't it? Little Virgin Islands again.
According to Dr. Hall, the school will increase the academic offerings of the university in the health professions, as well as provide more healthcare research in the Virgin Islands and encourage economic development in the territory. For News 2, I'm Stephanie Shalana Brown.
Jennifer Nugent-Hill and Edward Thomas were also honored at the ceremony for their exemplary service by UVI's Board of Trustees. Nugent-Hill served on the board for over 12 years, and Thomas served continuously for 6 years. Coming up next, your News 2 AccuWeather forecast. We'll be right back.
Well, I hope you had a nice day today. The weather is still looking pretty good, and those trade winds, they are lessening. So we are having nicer boating conditions as well. Taking a look at the satellite, you could see not much going on here. A couple of clouds around. Now, what we will notice is an increase of moisture late tomorrow into tomorrow night. And with that pocket of moisture, we are going to see a couple of showers popping up. But until then, our typical pattern, mostly sunny with a few showers around, and that will be throughout much of this week as well. So 74 degrees, partly cloudy tonight. Tomorrow, an afternoon shower should be expected. Some sunshine too at 84 degrees. And in St. Thomas, 84, and St. Croix around 87 degrees. Again, mostly sunny, but we will see maybe an extra shower. So for the Atlantic forecast, for the marine, it's not bad. 2 to 4 feet for those waves, and the winds, they're lessening. Now out of the east from 5 to 10 knots. So if you want to do some boating, no problems here. The Caribbean side, 2 to 4 feet for the waves, and the winds again coming out of the east from 5 to 10 knots. So enjoy yourself. Just be careful as always. The extended forecast looks pretty good. Once we get past those extra showers, we're going to see lots of sunshine. It's going to be very pleasant with our temperatures in those mid 80s. Now, Sunday night into Monday, we will see another pocket of moisture moving through, and that's going to increase our showers and our cloud coverage as well, but we don't have to worry about that, not until Monday. Have a great night.
Stick around, your News 2 Sports with Gary Anthony as well as Alex Randall's News and Comments. That's coming up next.
I'm Gary Anthony, and this is News 2 Sports. March Madness has arrived. Millions of people will be filling out brackets like this one as the 2019 NCAA Men's College Basketball Tournament takes control of so many lives. And it's not just sports junkies and commentators. Celebrities near and far also get bracket fever. Bill Murray, Drake, John Legend, and Jennifer Lawrence, just to name a few. The games began last night as the field of 68 gets whittled down to 64. The Fairleigh Dickinson Knights, led by senior guard Darnell Edge's 33 points, won their first NCAA tournament game ever, defeating the Prairie View A&M Panthers 82-76. The Belmont Bruins got 29 points from senior guard Kevin McLean in taking down the Temple Owls 81-70. It's the first tournament win for Belmont as well. Tonight, the North Carolina Central Eagles take on the North Dakota State Bison. Tip-off is at 6:40 p.m. The late game has a distinctive Virgin Islands flavor. St. Thomas native and Charlotte Amalie alum Daquan Lake and the Arizona State Sun Devils face the St. John's Red Storm at 9:10 p.m. Both games are on True TV, via cable Channel 18 and 518 HD. From hoops to homers, this one is definitely over the wall. Outfielder Mike Trout has agreed to a $430 million 13-year contract with the Los Angeles Angels. Now, gas in St. Croix is $2.95 per gallon. That's nearly 146 million gallons. My car gets 20 miles per gallon. That's 7.3 million miles. Now, the circumference of the Earth is about 25,000 miles, so I could drive around the Earth 292 times. Road trip. That's it for sports. April, back to you.
Thank you for that, Gary. Now, coming up next is Alex Randall with his news and comments, and he has quite the list of topics for you, but I did take a peek at his notes. I think he's talking about that vodka distillery on St. Croix making vodka out of breadfruit, plus the water issues that we've been having lately. Alex, what do you have?
You're watching News 2. This is Alex Randall with News and Comment. Why is fresh water always such a problem? We have some of the world's largest freshwater desalination plants right here in the Virgin Islands, yet half of St. Croix was without water for most of the week. The Water and Power Authority had problems. A leak in a 4-inch pipe and problems with the pumps in Richmond and Concordia and Contentment drained the drinking water tank in Kings Hill, St. Croix. Now, you would think we would have spare pumps just lying around. And the real irony is that our National Guard guys are the world's wizards at making water. Our guys are the water makers for the whole Army. So you would think that in a water crisis, we could call out the National Guard and make as much water as anybody wants. Instead, we have dry taps. But the Water and Power Authority says they bought 5 new pumps to add to capacity in Western St. Croix, and over the last weekend, they put a lot of water in that Kings Hill storage tank. Just don't take a shower yet. The hurricanes were more than 16 months ago, yet some of our schools still don't have phones. No phone at school? How can parents call in? How can teachers call out? You would think that phones in the schools would be a priority. Now, VIA says it's not their business. They don't have a contract for phones at the schools. So who's responsible for the phones in our schools, and why aren't they working? The early voting started. Virgin Island voters get to choose whether to change the structure of our legislature or not. If you prefer the current arrangement with 15 senators, 7 from each big island and 1 elected at large from St. John, or would you prefer 9 district senators and 6 at large? So far, 272 people have voted in the early voting. This is a special election. We have nearly $500,000 expended to hold this special election. You're reminded you have until March 30th to cast your ballot. Hearty congratulations to the outstanding employees of the Legislature of the Virgin Islands. Good work, Omari Hicks. He's an engineer and video editor on St. Thomas, and Alwyn A. Baptiste is a production technician on St. Croix. They're the Legislature's 2019 Employees of the Year. Is the University of the Virgin Islands really going to develop a medical school? They took another step forward. Greenleaf VI made a donation of $69,000 toward the construction of the Simulation Center. Now, the Simulation Center is going to be on St. Croix. It's a component of the medical school, but it could stand as its own business without the medical school. Physicians, nurses, emergency medical technicians, and others can be trained in the Simulation Center, where healthcare professionals practice on mannequins to hone their skills and learn advanced techniques. Money to get that going? Good news for the Virgin Islands. More good news from the university. Scientists from NASA came to St. Thomas and St. Croix to encourage students to study math and science and other technical subjects. NASA scientists talked about building rockets, how to support life in space, and how to deal with the realities of weightlessness. The students got to hear about things like the global positioning system, and students had a chance to ask all kinds of questions they need to know before they can make a decision to enter scientific studies. Guest experts coming to the University of the Virgin Islands can inspire a lot of students to expand their horizon and reach for the stars. Thanks for watching. This is Alex Randall with News and Comment. Now back to April.
Thank you for that, Alex. Now remember, special election early voting is still going on until March 22nd. That's for that initiative to reapportion the legislature. The actual election day is on March 30th. You can go to your local election offices. And I don't know if you've heard the good news. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, and of course on via Channel 4 and 504, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7 p.m. Make sure you tune in. And that's it for our show tonight. Make sure you follow us on Facebook at News2VI or Instagram at TV2USVI. We want to hear from you. Tag us on any stories you want to see on the news, or send us a message on Messenger. You can also email us at newsdirector@tv2.vi. Thanks again for joining us on News 2. I'm April Knight. We'll see you next time.